This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for tuning in. Wishing for everyone a blessed Thursday. And in the news this morning, American fugitive nabbed in Manchester. An American fugitive who is wanted in New York in the U.S. on multiple criminal charges was arrested during a pre-dawn operation in Greenville, Manchester on Wednesday. He is 18-year-old Matthew Pinnock, who is wanted on a provisional warrant of arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, robbery, assault, criminal possession of a weapon, reckless endangerment, among other charges. The Jamaica Constabulary Force's Corporate Communications Unit says he was nabbed by members of the Jamaica Fugitive Apprehension Team and the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Special Ops. The team reportedly went to a house in the Manchester community and carried out a search, and Pinnock was allegedly found hiding. He was subsequently transported to Kingston, where he remains in custody. He is set to appear in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court on Friday. Chang defends decision to build a Green Acres police station. Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has defended the decision to build the new Green Acres police station in St. Catherine, arguing that it was the community, in its desperate need of the facility, that had decided on the Greenfield site, which later turned out to be flood-prone. Speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, he explained they made it very clear that the road is likely to be flooded, but the location, which was the green space for the community, would not be flooded, and they expected that the National Works Agency would do the work to provide the drainage, which the NWA has agreed to do. The station was required as a matter of urgency. There had been significant criminal activity in the area. The old station was miles away and was falling apart. At last week's examination of the first supplementary estimates by the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, the National Security Minister came up short on answers regarding the approval for construction of the police station in that area. Assistant Commissioner of Police Warren Clark told the PAAC that the area had always been one of challenge and that the flooding problem had been assessed before construction on the $65 million project. Admittedly, we tried to avoid it because we knew we had problems. However, we were assured by experts that the area could be adequately drained. We took their advice, and when we continued, we heard that some other design was necessary. However, there was some adjustment to the prescription, which caused the engineers to redesign the solution. He explained, advising that the station is 90% complete. The police station, which was flooded by heavy rains in October, remains unoccupied while the drainage issues are fixed, and Dr. Chang promised that the works should be completed by next March. He said the residents themselves had designed the station, raised the initial funding, and identified a contractor, after which the plans were submitted and approved by the ministry. Having laid out a policy, we did some design to meet the standards for police stations. When the redesign was done, we needed more money, and we proceeded to build, he said. During the tabling of the report on the issues discussed with the various ministries and the agencies at the PAAC sitting, St. Catherine Southern Member of Parliament Fitz Jackson had again raised the matter, which prompted Dr. Chang's response. If we are failing to observe the standards that we impose, what can we expect from the ordinary citizens out there? 90% completed, and the periodic inspection that is required, the government agency didn't do it. And what happened? The place is flooded, which will compromise the use of the police station in due time. And we are told that $70 million has to be spent for the drain, Jackson said. The minister maintained that the interior of the station itself was not flooded, only the roadway to the station. Normally, that road is not flooded. The contractor did in fact put the building on a platform above ground. The ministry decided that before opening the station, we will in fact put in the drainage to protect the station. That is being done now. JFJ against the proposal for minimum 30-year sentence for murder. Human rights group Jamaicans for Justice has taken issue with a proposal by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 years imprisonment for murder. Speaking Tuesday in the House of Representatives, Mr. Holness said Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has been directed to bring the proposed legislative changes to the House early next year. But Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, Michael Jackson, believes that such a change would remove the discretion of judges to assess the unique circumstances of each case before the court. For example, when you have murders or any other crime that is committed by a youngster who may have been forced or whatever the circumstance may be, you're taking away the judicial discretion, she said.
That the courts or the judge must stand by. You're taking away the judicial discretion that is provided for to the court to really be looking at the unique circumstances of each case that is brought before the court. So, for example, when you have murders or any other crime that is committed by a youngster who may have been forced or whatever the other circumstances may be, you're taking away that judicial discretion. And we see it with the firearms legislation that was recently passed, and that was a criticism that JFJ offered. I must remind persons that our prison system right now, it is fraught with a lot of challenges. You're talking about inhumane conditions. We need more prisons to be built in Jamaica that respond to certain international standards, and that is not what we have now. So if the prison system faces that many challenges with dilapidated buildings, lack of rehabilitation and reform, when you put in mandatory minimums, what could you possibly be adding to? I want to also add that Jamaica's murder definition, if you will, the offense, it's either murder or capital murder. We do not have, like in the United States, that deals with second-degree murder where you can have a lesser sentence.
St. Anne police detained several people for looting truck in Monique. The St. Anne police are reporting that several persons have been detained in connection with the looting of a truck in Monique on the weekend. The looters stormed the truck after the driver was fatally shot by hoodlums along the main road in Faith's Pen. They stole millions of dollars worth of food items, including rice, flour, cornmeal, oil, and other goods. The truck was transporting the goods on behalf of Faith's Commodity to Western Jamaica. Senior Superintendent Dwight Powell, head of the St. Anne Police, told the news that the police have recovered some of the stolen items and arrested some people during daily operations in Faith's Pen.
Our inquiries led us to some houses in the Faithspen community where a number of the food items have been recovered. We have since arrested some persons, but we are understanding that some other food items are in the Faithspen community. We are advising those persons who may have looted the truck that we are actively pursuing investigation in this matter, and they are advised for their sake to hand over these items to the Monique police station so that we'll be in a position to wrap up our investigation in that regard. We have information that is leading us to a prime suspect in this matter, and so we are using this medium to appeal to those persons who may have participated in the looting of the vehicle to hand over whatever food item was taken from this vehicle to the Monique police. Of course, failing to do so, those persons who are found in possession of these items will be taken into custody and properly prosecuted.
Boy gets 2 years for having knife. A 16-year-old boy who has been detained since September 2021 for possessing a knife will have to finish the rest of his 2-year sentence in a correctional facility after the Office of the Children's Advocate lost a legal challenge last week to have him released. Senior Family Court Judge Justice Fiona Fair-Gregory had sentenced the teenager after he pleaded guilty to possession of an offensive weapon last July. The boy was taken into custody last March for allegedly assaulting another teen at a party in Torrington Park, Kingston. While he was processed at the police station, a 6-inch knife was found in his possession. Following his sentence, the OCA took the matter to the full court, seeking constitutional redress, including an order for the child referred to as NO to be immediately released and a declaration that the judge had wrongfully sentenced the teen and that his right to freedom had been breached. The OCA contended that the judge acted outside her power in sentencing him to a 2-year correction order when the penalty under the Offensive Prohibition Weapons Act was for a $4,000 fine or 4 months behind the bars. But the full court judges, Justice Lorna Shelley Williams, Anne Marie Nemard, and Carl Barnaby, who heard the matter in July 2022, refused the claim and the application for habeas corpus which would have resulted in the child being freed. In the judgment, which was published on Tuesday, the panel found that the arguments that were advanced could not be sustained, as the Constitution allows for a judge to detain a person in execution of the sentence or the order of the court. We have found that the correctional order to which NO was sentenced is intraverse the powers of the learned judge, as it was an available sentencing option under the Child Care and Protection Act, they said, adding that the application was not a remedy that was available to him. The judges also found that Fair Gregory had not acted outside the remit of the CCPA in failing to refer the proceedings before her to the OCA or to grant a legal aid certificate. We do not understand the act to require a child in proceedings before the court to have an attorney at law, and while circumstances of a particular case might favor a child having that kind of representation, even where the parent or guardian indicates that it is not needed, that appears to us to be among the matters challengeable by way of judicial review, they said. Noting that the child's parents had opted not to pursue that legal remedy, the judges indicated that any challenge to the court's exercise of discretion under Section 4.3 of the Act should go to the constitutionality of the discretion granted by the Parliament to the court. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.